Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Have you heard of Parkinson's Law? Parkinson's Law is that work expands to fill the time allotted. So if you don't give something a time limit, it will just keep going. You'll keep working on it. If you maybe have a meeting that's scheduled for an hour, you're going to meet for an hour, right? Even if you don't have an hour's worth of things on the agenda, because we are filling up that time that we have allotted. And this happens in a lot of different ways throughout our lives. So I want to share with you some specific techniques that you can use to really help you by applying Parkinson's Law to your life and to your work. So here are a few things that you can do to help give yourself some time limits so that work doesn't just keep going all of the time. So the first thing that you can do is to create a stopping time, to set a stopping time. Now, this doesn't have to be the same time every single day, but knowing in advance at what time you'll stop work for the day can be really helpful because you're kind of working against a clock then, and you will get more done in that period of time. Now, I remember back to, 13 years ago when I was coming back from my first maternity leave, and all of a sudden I had a hard limit at the end of the day, right? I had to go pick up my kid at daycare. You had to be there on time. And so all of a sudden I had to leave at 5:15 every day. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like it just had to happen. And all of a sudden I became instantly more productive. I couldn't work late anymore. And so I didn't. I got all the stuff done in the time that it needed to get done. You really ward off some perfectionism that way as well, because oftentimes if we have kind of no time limit, we'll just keep going, right? So pick a stopping time. Doesn't have to be the same time every day, but pick one. Now, another thing you can do is schedule shorter meetings. Just as I mentioned before, if you are, scheduling meetings for an hour or for half an hour, just as a default, because that's what the calendar does. I mean, that's totally understandable, right? Our calendars default to those, but maybe try 20 minutes or try 50 minutes or 45 minutes and see if you can't get the same amount done in that time that you would have otherwise gotten in an hour-long meeting or in a half-hour-long meeting. Now, another thing that you can do is to give yourself a time limit. So for specific types of work, right? So this is like taking setting a stopping time for your day and kind of making a micro version of that, right? So for instance, when I write a weekly blog post and do this video weekly, I give myself 90 minutes total. So 90 minutes from the time I sit down to write and to record to the time I'm hitting publish. And what that does is it really focuses me during that time and makes sure that I am doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And it helps me to not kind of move into that perfectionism zone where I'm trying to make it better and better and better, and nobody's really noticing but me, right? And so you can give yourself a time limit, because if we don't give ourselves a time limit, then we might just keep going until it's done or keep going until it's as good as it can be at the expense of all the other stuff that we wanted to get done. So try giving yourself time limits. Now, time blocking on your calendar is a really effective way to give yourself time limits. So deciding in advance how long you think something is going to take or should take, giving yourself a little extra buffer, right? Because we are not all great at estimating time, and things almost always take longer than we think. So give yourself a little bit longer than you think it's going to take, but not too much, right? You want it to be reasonable and realistic, but also we don't want it to be expansive because we really want to fit the work into that time, and time block it on your calendar. This can be really helpful. And then finally, you could also try the pomodoro technique. And the pomodoro technique is another timer-based technique. Typically, you would just set a timer. 25 minutes is what they always say, but I think whatever, do whatever works for you. So if you think something is going to take 45 minutes, set it for 45 minutes. If you think something is going to take 15 minutes, or maybe your attention span is only 15 minutes, set it for 15 minutes. Use the timer. And then when the timer gets started, work uninterrupted on that thing until the timer goes off. And then maybe take a quick break and do that again for the next thing that you need to do. So those are just a number of different ways that you can employ Parkinson's Law to your advantage. So now that you know it exists, that work expands to fill the time allotted, how are you going to limit that time allotted so that you can get more done that you want to get done, so you have time for the other things in life?
Hello, just want to quickly remind you that only 8.3% of the people that watch our videos are actually subscribed, so it'd just be a big help if you went down 2 inches and pressed that subscribe button.